Welcome back to Logically Speaking Sports, brought to you by the Daily Beacon. This week we'll be talking about the NFL draft, and we'll be actually doing one of our mock draft with us three here, and we're just going, each person will be going turn by turn for each pick. And Miller, go ahead, you start with number one.
Yeah, so we're going to do the first 16 picks, and for the Cardinals, I think we all agree, Kyler Murray's going to go no matter what. I think we don't know what's going to happen with Josh Rosen. He may be on a new team come draft night. He may take a week or so afterwards, but I think no matter what, we can agree that Kyler Murray, in the eyes of Cliff Kingsbury, fits their system better. So I just think overall they're just going to take Kyler Murray, which I think is the worst kept secret in the entire NFL right now.
Yeah, I mean, at first, like, a couple months ago, we were like, there's no chance of this happening. Like,
And
there were, like, rumors, and we're like, there's no possible way that they're going to play this like a Madden franchise. But it looks like that's what they're going to do. All right, so I have the Niners with pick number 2. I think they'll run this card up to the stage. And I'm going to go with not Joey Bosa.
Ooh.
Nick Bosa. I think he's probably the top prospect in the whole entire draft. Him and Quinnen Williams are probably my top two.
I agree.
So him sliding to number 2, not much of a slide, but we didn't think this was going to happen months ago, but now it seems more and more likely, and I think Bosa is a can't-miss prospect, basically, just like his brother was. So Nick Bosa to the Niners, pretty much lock that in.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that. I mean, it's literally, like you said, running up to the stand. I mean, that's a no-brainer. Yeah. I mean, like you said, weeks ago, we thought Kyler wasn't even going to be considered number 1, and we all thought the Cardinals were going to take Nick Bosa, but now the way it's shaping up, looks like the San Francisco's going to, again, draft another defensive lineman, but I mean,
looks like it.
I mean, hey, one of them's got to hit, and I think it's going to be this one for sure.
You can never have too many edge players. I think the Patriots have shown that too. They recycle D linemen, get them out, get the comp picks, stuff like that. And I think you certainly can't go wrong with those.
For sure.
And so with the next pick, the Jets, I think they had a pretty big offseason this year, taking Le'Veon Bell, and I mean they were in the running for Anthony Barr for a while before. I mean he went back to the Vikings. They said it was like a horror story. I don't even know.
He didn't feel right. He
Yeah,
just didn't feel right to him.
The thing is, like, I want to win more than like 6 games this season.
He got quote unquote physically sick.
So, but I think well, I'm a big fan of Quinnen Williams, but I think they're going to take an edge guy, and I think they're going to take Josh Allen. Right?
Yeah, no, for sure.
And he had a really big season this year. I mean, he doesn't have a whole lot of production. This was kind of his big season at Kentucky. I mean, Kentucky almost was second in the SEC East, and I think he was a big reason why him and Snell, I think, were one of the biggest reasons why they made such a big jump. And it just feels like it's one of those type of picks for them. I just feel like it's the first 4. I think overall, I think we all talked about this. Is consensus is kind of the same, and so I'll let Miller talk about number 4.
Yeah, and like we said, consensus pick for number 4 would be Quinnen Williams. As John Gruden made known a couple of times last year after they traded Khalil Mack, they need a disruptive force to get to the quarterback, which Quinnen Williams can do, and he can definitely stop the run. He's just a huge body, and he's surprisingly more of an athlete than I think people give him credit for. I just think overall he's the disruptive force that the Raiders are kind of looking for, and I think overall, again, Quinnen Williams at number 4 is kind of a steal at this rate.
Yeah, no, I think he's ridiculous. I saw him and Josh Allen firsthand. Not fun to play against. And Josh Allen, his explosiveness off the edge was ridiculous to me. And Quinnen Williams is just a mauler. I mean, he just runs over offensive linemen like it's nothing. He's got good length. He's huge. He's quick off the line. He's really good with his hands, and that's big, especially going into the NFL, facing O linemen with longer arms, quicker hands, stuff like that. You got to be able to fight with them, but also just move past them. So I've picked number 5, and that's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, if I'm Tampa Bay, I'm trading down.
Yeah.
I want more picks if I'm them. There's a lot of holes. They have good pieces in certain areas, but you just have so many holes on that roster. In the secondary, you don't have much. The defensive line is getting older. You just lost Quan Alexander at linebacker, and then that's just on defense. On offense, you're thin at receiver. You don't really have a running back. Do you really have a quarterback? I don't really know. The offensive line is probably the strongest, force right now, at least the interior of it. And that's saying something too. But anyway, with this pick, if they are going to stay at 5, which with the mock, you can't really trade down because you don't really know who would trade up and what picks and all of that. I'm going to go Devin White from LSU. I think he's the best linebacker in this draft. Him and Bush are pretty close. Their combines were almost the exact same. But I'm taking White just because I know he's not great in coverage, but he can rush the passer. He's a good run stopper. He reads plays well in coverage. He just doesn't have great ball skills. But he's quick. He ran the 40 well. And overall, I think he's a guy that would really work well in that defense. I think he's a good Quan Alexander replacement. And learning from Levante David could also be really important for him.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the Buccaneers are probably one of the many prime candidates to trade down. I think the Raiders could trade down. I think the Jets could even trade down if they really wanted to. I mean, really, besides number one, because I just don't think anybody has the draft capital to get that number one pick. I think any of those first top 6 picks when I get to 6 will trade down, and then so like I said, that leaves me in the 6, the Giants, and so everybody probably thinks that this is like this easy they're gonna take Dwayne Haskins, but it seems that in the past week there are rumors saying they don't want to take Haskins and that they're certain to stay with Eli through at least this season and maybe even next season, which is crazy to think about. It's like they had Odell. I mean, they had so many pieces and they just shipped it all away. So now it's really just going to be on Saquon at this point. Poor Saquon.
It's tough, man. They might just run a freaking running back up to the stat. Let's just take Josh Jacobs at number 6.
It's just really hard to watch the Giants.
There seems to be no plan in New York right now.
Oh yeah,
it's very confusing.
It's very hard for me to watch. It's hard for me to see the Cardinals thing. That's just all right, you can do whatever you want. But the Giants, it just seems like it's such an easy pick. But I want to say Dwayne Haskins so bad, but I feel like they're just not gonna take him. I was looking at a mock draft the other day, and they were saying how they could, if they do this draft, if they take a couple offensive linemen, early offensive, I'm gonna have them take Jonah Williams. I think that if they set up, they're really trying to rebuild and trying to find the quarterback. Maybe I'm guessing maybe Tua next year, or maybe Fromm or Herbert. I think they need to build their offensive line. I mean, not only is building up your offensive line, it's going to help the QB of the future, but I mean, it's also going to help Saquon. So I just feel like I think they could take Montez Sweat too, but I just feel like especially with the hard thing that just came up, which I don't think teams are going to taking it too seriously anyway. But I just feel like that Jonah Williams is, besides him or Jawan Taylor, are the mainstay offensive lineman of this draft.
Yeah,
so.
I'm right there with you, and I'm I'm picking for the Jaguars right now, and I think they're also going to trade back. I do think that they definitely need an offensive tackle, and I'm going to have them taking Jawan Taylor anyway, just for the sake of the mock. And I do think he is an option for them at 7, him or, like I said, Jonah Williams. I think right now they're definitely they're trying to find that next franchise offensive tackle to really take their offensive line going forward, I guess the next generation. Because I think that is their biggest weakness outside of quarterback, which we're hoping that Nick Foles can hopefully fix for him. We'll see. I think, we'll just see. I think overall that if the Jaguars don't trade back, they're looking for an offensive tackle. Jawan Taylor is definitely one of the best ones in the entire country right now.
Yeah, he's starting to rise up boards more and more. At first, it was consensus Jonah Williams top, and then him and Williams now are very close.
Yeah, I got to see painfully in person how good Jawan Taylor is last year when Tennessee couldn't make any pressure on Florida. So that was
quick
fun.
with his feet.
He's very good. He's definitely one of the most versatile offensive tackles I think that will be in the NFL come draft night.
All right, so I have the Lions at number 8, and this one could go a lot of directions. I think they need a corner. I don't think any of these corners in this class are worth taking at number 8. If they really want a corner, trade down, because honestly, I think Byron Murphy and Greedy are the only 2 corners that deservedly should go in the first round, and that's even close for me. But I think those both will go in the first round just because teams need corners, and that's just part of the NFL at this point. But in no way, shape, or form do I think either one of them are worth taking at number 8. To me, it's going to come down to Hawkinson at tight end or Brian Burns on the edge. That's a tough one. I know they signed Jesse James in the offseason, but he's not a long-term stay.
He's a placeholder.
He's a placeholder for someone else, but I just don't know if they pull the trigger on another tight end this early because Ebron didn't work out. Yeah. But I think Hawkinson is a completely different player. He's a completely different skill set, which I think would really work for their offense, especially because he can block and catch the ball. But I'm gonna go Brian Burns here just because I think they might be scared to take the tight end. And I think Brian Burns fits their system really well. I like him in their defense. He's a bigger dude that can really rush the passer pretty well. And they're losing Ansah most likely, so I don't see him coming back. So I think Brian Burns is a really good pick for them right there. And moving on to number 9, which is the Buffalo Bills. Jared's got that one.
Yeah, one thing I just want to go back to, you talk about the Lions. I think if they do take a corner, I think it's Greedy Williams. I think I'm higher on Greedy Williams than most people's boards are, which is fair. He's really athletic. I think he fits their what they want to do in Detroit, especially man-to-man type deal, because that's what he's like excels at. Not great zone corner, but I mean that's Byron Murphy's. I think Byron Murphy is overall the better corner, but I think just based off what the Lions want to do, I think I could see them doing that. But like you said, I wouldn't be surprised if they trade back to get him. I mean, there's no point. Plus, if they can get more picks.
Yeah, because the teams that are behind them, their biggest needs are not corner. Buffalo, Denver, Bengals, Packers, their biggest need is not corner. Yeah. So they can easily trade back and still get Greedy. And I agree with you. Greedy and Slay would be a really nice tandem, especially in a man-to-man defense. Sure. Yeah.
But with the Bills pick at number 9, I think. Well, after we saw what happened with Antonio, we all thought he got traded, and I thought that was one of the Buffalo Bills' biggest needs. Also scared me a lot, but it's definitely one of the biggest needs. I was like, all right, okay, they make moves because I mean it wasn't. It was a good move for them, and then it's like, haha, fake news, woo. And I was like, all right, well, go have fun playing in Oakland, so you can have fun with that.
Yeah.
But I think as we all saw, DK Metcalf, who I'm picking at number 9. I think we all saw him rise up boards, especially with the picture of him and AJ. What was it? Him and AJ Brown, where they ripped. I mean, it's pretty scary to look at. I mean, but I just feel like he's what they need. And I feel like with what pick they have right there and what their needs are with wide receiver, I just feel like they need a playmaker for Josh Allen.
Yeah.
And so it just feels like another one of those. Not going to say consensus because we all don't know what's going to happen at 9 because maybe someone does a crazy move. Maybe the Green Bay trades up, if they like DK Metcalf, because I have a feeling that they might take another playmaker like that.
DK with Aaron Rodgers would not be fun.
So, but yeah, I just feel like this is another one for me, a consensus I feel like that most people kind of have going towards, at least for me. They maybe take a corner go pair with Tre'Davious White. Maybe they take Greedy if he's there.
I think really the only other option to go is like interior D line or corner. And interior D line, I think the only possible one would be Ed Oliver. But other than that, I think DK is probably the safest pick as of right now.
The Bills have a lot. The Bills have a lot of options. I think they're also in the prime game to maybe trade back a couple spots to gather some more. Gather more picks so they can dress more needs.
I think the consensus is the fact that all of these teams have multiple holes and they can all trade back, and that's why I think there's going to be a lot of trades. We just can't. There's no way to know.
We'll find out soon. It's going to be interesting who decides to trade up into like the top 10, maybe top 12 picks to see how and what they get.
Yeah.
Going forward, I know a lot of people are going to have the Broncos probably taking a quarterback, and I'm very tempted. I'd probably have them taking someone like Drew Lock here, but overall, I think John Elway just isn't good at addressing the quarterback needs, and I don't know why. You saw them trade for Joe Flacco, so I think maybe
Flacco the future.
I mean, you never know with John Elway. I don't want to say he's a bad GM. He's good addressing certain needs when it comes to quarterback.
It's rough.
It's mind-boggling how bad it can be.
I mean, Paxton Lynch bad.
Yeah, so I think it's more so likely the Broncos maybe take a risk on like a second round guy. I also think the Broncos may wait till the second round and take someone like Will Grier. Overall, I have the Broncos taking T.J. Hawkinson. I think they're looking for more passing threats. I think no matter who you have at quarterback, they don't have anyone to throw to.
Yeah.
I mean, they really don't. And I think overall they're going to try and address a need with T.J. Hawkinson, who is a dynamic playmaker, who overall will be surprising if he slides into maybe number 10 at this point with how high on him everyone seems to be.
Yeah, no, he's a complete package. That's why I like how he would fit with Denver. I think he fits better than Fant would there.
I agree.
Just because I think he can also block really well, and that's what they need with the O-line. Their O-line hasn't been great. So I think adding him in there, he can also catch the ball, but that blocking would be huge, and especially if they're going to try to get this running game going like it was for parts of last year, that would also be important.
I definitely think maybe someone like Garrett Bradbury is also going to play number 10. I just don't know if he's a number 10 overall player.
Yeah. I think Bradbury is up there, but I just don't know.
That would be a need.
It would be a very need pick, and I don't know if they would take him that high, but it wouldn't surprise me.
I just see Elway going for, I guess, the most talented offensive player on the board, which I think you could argue would be Hawkinson or Fant.
Oh, absolutely.
And like I said, I see Hawkinson fitting in Denver way better than Fant does.
Easily. I have number 11, which is the Bengals. I think there's a couple ways they could go here. Tight end is a possibility. I don't love Fant going to the Bengals. I think it's okay, but they did re-sign Eifert, which doesn't mean a whole lot considering the injury history. But I don't think they're going to use a first round pick on a tight end, considering they have other holes on that team, especially on defense. I'm going to take Devin Bush here, linebacker from Michigan. I think that's a safe pick just because I think him and White are probably the consensus top 2 linebackers in this draft, and I think he looks good on tape. He again had a really good combine just like White did. So I think overall that's a really safe pick for them, and I think he fits in well with their defense. They did lose Vontaze Burfict, who's I don't really know. He wasn't really big and big right now just because he's kind of past his prime and such. But yeah, Jared, I'll let you take Green Bay.
Okay, so as I mentioned before with the Bills pick that I had, I talked about playmakers, and I also thought that maybe a team that might be in to try and draft maybe a tight end or, like I said, a playmaker in general. I said Green Bay would be one. And, well, let's see. This is kind of a reach. Like I said, we've talked about kind of most of these teams have kind of picked, unless it was like the top 4, which but they have so many holes, it really wouldn't matter who they pick because it's going to be talented or have talent. But with Green Bay's pick, this is going to be kind of reach, but I'm going to take him Marquise Hollywood Brown for their pick because, they don't need corners. Obviously corners would still be there. I don't really feel like they need it. Maybe the only other thing I see is maybe an interior alignment. Maybe take Ed All over there because to go with Mike Daniels and to go. I really lost Clay Matthews, but I feel like for what Green Bay wants to do with just kind of because obviously you have to be in win now mode. I'm not saying that doesn't mean like go reach for somebody that's just like way out there. Even that kind of looks like a reach, but you have to get a playmaker that's going to give you a chance. Think about it, they lost Roy Nelson, let him walk to Oakland, and he ended up retiring. But now they have Devontae.
He may be back though. He may be back.
I'd like to see him back.
I would like to see that.
And I would just like maybe to see Devontae Adams and Brown with Aaron Rodgers is pretty. I'm not gonna lie, it's dangerous.
I like the pick. The only play I would maybe say would be in play there would be someone like Fant, but I think even that'd be a reach.
Yeah, I think Fant would really fit in well with Green Bay. The only thing about taking Brown there is I think Brown will also be there with their second pick in the first round.
That's the only thing I didn't know is like.
But again, they don't know that. They don't know that taking him. So I understand taking him there, and I also would see them trading down. I know we've said this on every pick basically, but trading if they really liked Marquise Brown and they trade back in the draft a little bit because. Okay, Washington could take a receiver, Carolina could, but other than that, not a lot of teams need a receiver that are behind them, and especially not all of them would probably reach for Brown, but I like how he would fit in the Green Bay offense, and him and Adams. Jimmy Graham is up there, but he can still make some plays if he's healthy. With the other guys they have, like Valdez Scantling came on last year, there's multiple guys in that system that could help him. So I think that's an interesting pick, but I think it would work in Green Bay.
Yeah, I think the biggest threat that would maybe take a receiver from Green Bay, and that's kind of like Marquise Brown, would maybe someone like the Giants, just knowing them. Probably trying to because right now it is already a young receiver room. It's not a really impressive one if you really think about it right now.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised they address a receiver in the first round or the second round with their picks. But overall, the Dolphins, I'm about to make Jared really happy. I'm going to take Dwayne Haskins. They need. Jordan Haskins is, in my opinion, the best quarterback in this draft. I don't think there's a question about it. Murray is probably the best athlete.
It's close.
But I think, in my opinion, when it comes to what you need from the quarterback position, it's Dwayne Haskins. He is a pocket passer, but he has athletic ability. And I think overall for Dolphins are obviously in rebuild mode, which it's not insult, they just are. And I think
they're not insulting me right now.
And I think it's they need to embrace it, and they need to get their cornerstone piece. And there's nothing bigger of a cornerstone than the quarterback, and Dwayne Haskins is definitively the best quarterback in this draft for me.
Yeah, so I have pick 14. I have the Falcons, which I'm not too happy about, but that's just the way the cookie crumbled. So their biggest needs probably are on the line, especially on the defensive line. Their offensive line isn't bad to me, especially interior looks really good, but. Interior defensive lineman, edge. They could use another corner. Trufant's getting up there, and he definitely wasn't that great last year, and the rest of their corners are abysmal. But their defense as a whole will get healthier this season, which I think will make a difference, especially in guys progressing and stuff like that.
That'll add at least like 3 wins.
Yeah, because they still have Keanu Neal, who was hurt. Deion Jones got hurt, so there's a lot of pieces that weren't there last year. So with the number 14 pick, I'm going to take Ed Oliver from Houston. I think he has one of the highest ceilings in this draft.
For sure.
The athlete that he is kind of ridiculous. I know there's like rumors that some teams that would take him would move him to outside linebacker. That's crazy to me. I understand he's a great athlete, but play him on the line, get him, trying to get after the passer and run stopping in the middle. He's good with his hands, has quick feet. He has really nice bursts, which we saw especially before this past season. The season before, his bursts were ridiculous. Now there's some, character issues and determination issues, stuff like that, but I don't think that's that big of a deal. But overall, I think that's probably the best option for them. Especially, I like how he fits in their defense. I think they just like a lot of athletes, and he would definitely be in that list and probably at the top of it for interior D linemen, along with Quinnen Williams and Simmons if he wasn't hurt at the moment.
And so I have the Redskins pick at 15. So I think what many experts have talked about this draft is that there could be a lot of QBs going in the first round. There's not like that superstar guy that's like an Andrew Luck or like a Jared Goff. But I think this is where it's going to start to, like, QBs where a lot of them are going to start to go. Like, as we saw Dwayne Haskins just go 2 picks ago. Drew Lock, Daniel Jones, Will Greer, Ryan Finley from NC State. I know his thing fell off. I know he started his stock chart
He's a second or third round pick in my opinion.
Oh.
But this is where it's going to start to go, where I think a lot of quarterbacks will go in the first 2 rounds, something we don't really see as often. But I think this is Redskins. I mean, don't be surprised. This is one I wouldn't be surprised if they don't try to move up, especially if Haskins doesn't get taken by the Giants, which, like I said, talked about before, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. I feel like they're kind of starting to go away from that, which is to each their own, I guess. If they don't feel comfortable, that's fine. I mean, I think even if they take Haskins, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, especially in the division they're in.
Oh, absolutely not.
So, with the Redskins pick, after seeing Alex Smith lose and pretty much having to start Colt McCoy and Josh Johnson or whatever, I feel like this is going to be the pick for them. If obviously without trades, that Drew Lock is going to go to this. I think people have put Drew Lock with the Dolphins too. If for some reason if the Redskins do trade up, I think it's, like I said, to each their own. But I think Drew Lock, obviously, he's a flamethrower. I mean, he's definitely got the arm. He's definitely athletic. He kind of fits what they want to do. But I'm not super sold on Drew Lock. I don't like him that much. I wouldn't spend like a top 15 pick on him. But
Absolutely not.
like I said, to each their own. I think the only thing they could do here is maybe take the interior offensive lineman, the dude from NC State, Bradbury. I think is the only other dude I see just to start feeling, because they have Shreve, they have Trent Williams, they've got pieces there. They're just lacking offensive playmakers. And I think they also, if wide receivers were still there, I think they might be looking at that, but I would see them probably taking one in the second round.
Yeah, with the receivers, I think the only other guy they could possibly take there is Hakeem Butler if he's there. I like Hakeem Butler a lot.
He's big.
Yeah, he's a big man. People are comparing him to Julio. I mean, that's a big comparison.
Yeah.
But I think he's really athletic and he can make the contested catches. But I think if Metcalf is there, I think they would take Metcalf. But if he's not, then I think Locke, Butler, those would be the top 2 possibilities. And I think they have to go offense because you have to get something going on that offense because not a lot has so far. So, Miller, you'll take the Panthers at 16.
Yeah, just to start the Redskins real quick. I think we can agree the Redskins have a pretty solid defensive unit. So, I mean, if they were just defense in the first round at the very least, that'd be very confusing. Again, I think there's no receiver that's really worth a top 15 pick at this rate. And I think, and at this point, they got a decision to make. They got to decide to go for the future on, is Alex Smith really going to come back? Which I think we can all agree he's probably not going to.
We don't even know if he's going to play. I mean, come back is one thing, but come back good, that's a completely different story.
And Case Keenum is
Case Keenum.
He's a backup quarterback who is starting because they have no one else.
Yeah.
This is the best, and Drew Lock is the pick for them. I just think there's no one else better for that kind of system to run. I'd let him sit here behind Keenum, let him at least kind of soak up the playbook a little bit better, and then let him take over the reins in year 2.
Yeah, I mean, I think in a vacuum, I think Locke is probably a 3rd or 4th round talent.
Yeah.
But I think with the needs that team, I mean, this happens every year. People reach for quarterbacks. That's just how it works. I think Haskins is probably a late 1, early 2 round, talent. Pretty much the same with Murray. I think they're pretty close.
Yeah.
And so I think with Locke, you may be reaching based on talent, but you have to reach based on need because you got to have a quarterback.
Teams are going to reach for quarterbacks every year, and it's just
happens.
The case of it. So the Carolina Panthers, to wrap up the first half of this drive, I've been taking Montez Sweat. I also could see them taking an interior D lineman because I know they're switching to more of a 3-4. At least it's rumored they are, and I could see them maybe moving an interior D lineman from someone like Clemson, someone like a Christian Wilkins, maybe moving him to DN. But I think overall the safest pick right now would be to take someone like Sweat, and I know he has the heart issues, but I think we know that's probably not going to hold him back from playing.
I don't think he takes it serious.
I don't think teams are very scared of it either.
No, if it comes back to bite, I still think if he has to sit his rookie year and then comes back in year 2, you're still going to get a dynamic playmaker. He's one of the best edge players in the draft. I think he's sliding down 16 due to like what team needs. And because I don't think there's much of a gap drop off from like Josh Allen and all that to Montez Sweat.
I think edge is just stacked,
so
you can only take so many edge players early. I think if this was a different draft, edge would go Sweat would go top 10.
And I think, and according to this mock, I think we have teams more addressing need. I know Denver doesn't need Hawkinson, but it's talent. But I think more so we are addressing what they need, probably not more so what they're actually maybe gonna do. But I think Montez Sweat is the pick here. I just think overall, Carolina needs to better their defense as a whole. They got proven last year that Super Bowl run might have been an anomaly, and they need to address some holes in defensive linemen. It's probably their biggest hole.
And they're definitely getting older, and you gotta have when you play in that division, you gotta have people that can get after Ryan and Breeze, and especially Winston, because if you can pressure Winston, it's not gonna be pretty.
And if it wasn't for Matt Paradis, I'd say someone like Garrett Bradbury again would be a pick here. But Matt Paradis is a top center, and I don't think they really need to address guard this year.
For sure.
You can go ahead and pause it real quick again.
And thanks for listening to this week's podcast. Next week we'll be doing 17 through 32 of our mock draft, and then hopefully the week after that we'll be doing a mock draft with trade scenarios. Thanks for listening, and see you next week.